Welcome back to part 2 of our interview with MC Laubscher, president of Valhalla Wealth Financial and host of the wildly successful Cashflow Ninja podcast. Today, he's going to discuss some of the best advice he's ever received, some of the worst advice he's ever received, and how important it is to have clarity and authenticity.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performance Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tricks, the tips, the tools, the strategy, the technology, and the psychology peak performers use in order to get more done and execute at the highest level. If you know what to do but struggle with getting it all done, or simply want to raise your game to the next level, this podcast is for you. Sit back and enjoy. Saying no to things is so important. Any strategies around that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is one thing that I'll be very honest, I was very bad on initially. Because I am just naturally a people pleaser sometimes, and you have to focus on the things that is going to drive it forward. I mean, it's part of your mission. It's part of you serving more people effectively and providing more values for others. That's how you have to take a look at this. And because you're focused on that mission and providing value for others and creating and producing for others, you're going to unfortunately have to say no to things that are not aligned with that mission and is not going to get you where you want to be. And that means, even spending time with certain people. Unfortunately, you have to be focused. You have to protect your mindset, which is, mindset, as you know, is the biggest part of this puzzle, right? 80%, 20% is tactics and execution. It might be even more. So you have to protect what comes into your mind, and and protect your time. And that is a lesson that I learned, and it was a tough one.
Yeah, and I think we also look at time differently. We look at time that's happening right now, and a lot of times it's easy to say no because our schedule's filled. But then we look a couple months out into the future and we're like, you know what? Yeah, I don't have anything scheduled for, Tuesday in 5 months. Guess what? When you get to that Tuesday in 5 months, it's going to be crowded with all kinds of other things. So it's not only protecting now, but also the future.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And is your big goal. So the thing is, I'm very focused on the goals. I've goals very big that scare me every day. And because they scare me, I get up very, very excited in the morning, but I also put a little extra and added pressure on myself to stay in line and stay focused and protect my time and protect my mindset. So very, very true.
Yeah, I always think you ought to have goals that you have no idea how you're going to make them happen. Just look at them and go,
exactly.
I have no idea. I know what I want, but I don't know the how. Those are the ones you want to focus on. Let's talk about the morning a little bit. And most entrepreneurs, most peak performers get up early. They're up before 6 o'clock. First thing in the morning, they've got a ritual that they do. Tell us about your morning ritual.
I would say that I do journal. That's the first thing that I do in the morning because I wake up, shake off the little sleepiness. I try to get up early. And again, we're not all perfect. I don't get up early every day.
me. I mess it up too.
I'll be the first one. So if you're listening to this, I'm not going to be the guy telling you I get up at 5:30 and I watch the sun come up and do 50 stuff and that kind of stuff. But what I will tell you is try to sit down in a quiet place and gather my thoughts and write down my goals for the day. Just going over and defining and clarifying what my purpose is and what I'm trying to achieve today and what I hope to have the outcomes of today. You look at your schedule and a couple of things. So you write down your goals of what you want to achieve in all of those different areas. Yeah, and then from there on, obviously, I express gratitude. I'm just a very, very lucky person to have the life that I have, to have the health that I have, to have the family that I have. So I go through my phases of gratitude, and then I I work out in the morning. I have to say, I work out about 5 days a week. Sometimes, depending on my schedule, I am on the East Coast, and I try to make myself available, not just in the U.S., but around the world. So sometimes it doesn't work out that I get to squeeze in an hour in the morning, so I do that at night. So that's a variable. Sometimes I do work out. Sometimes I work out at night. But the other thing that I've also started to incorporate along with journaling and clarifying my mind and on days getting that exercise in is I've also started using bulletproof coffee. And I actually heard that from Elrod and on one of his talks, and that's been a game changer for me too as well. I've never been a coffee drinker, which is kind of crazy. I'm originally from South Africa, so in Stellenbosch, the south of South Africa, so I've always more leaned towards tea. So this has been quite a funny thing for some of my friends to see, but I've really appreciated that part as well. And after that, I jump in and I get ready for the day. I think that once I've gotten up and I've clarified my purpose and my mission, got my goals ready, I've put my thoughts out there through journaling, and then, like I said, with the exercise, it all depends on my schedule when I can fit that in. But most days I fit that in the morning when I can, just to feel invigorated and energized and ready to go. So by the time that I attacked my first project of the day, I'm focused. My energy levels are pretty high, and my mind is clear, which the bulletproof coffee I think has contributed as well. It feels great. I've had fantastic results on it. So that is something that I've added this year.
Awesome. Now, do you add in there's like a brain food for the coffee as well? Do you add that supplement in?
Yes, I sure do. And yeah, that has been a big game changer for me, adding that in. So I've definitely felt that my ideas and my mind is really, really focused. So I am using that daily, and it's been a game changer.
Oh, interesting. I'm going to have to get that. I've seen that. I use my own version. I put in the grass-fed butter and whip it up myself, but I haven't been adding that supplement. So now I've got a note to go get the supplement.
Yeah.
I need all the brain power I can get. And I want to clarify something here, and no pun intended, but you kept using the word clarify, get clarity. And I want to make an emphasis on this. If you're not clear, if you don't have clarity, you cannot execute. It's one of the biggest things that get in the way of execution. So if you're having trouble getting things executed, make sure that you're getting clear and you have clarity on things.
So important. And I think what helped me too is I break it down to basically the bottom line of, what I need to do to achieve the certain outcome that I have to do. Because as you mentioned before, just about goals, we have big, lofty goals, and that is awesome. And I do. Then the next step is to break those goals down and figure out, okay, how could we possibly get there? Because we look at it, we're like, oh, wow, how are we going to get there? But it is important to try and figure out. And then on a daily basis, too, exactly write down, what do I need to do to get the stuff done today, what I set out for myself?
What's some of the best advice you've ever received?
Be true to yourself. I say that, and a lot of people have said that probably in the past, and it might sound a little bit cliché, but it really in a day like in an age like today, you just have to be true to yourself, because the accessibility that everybody has to ideas and spread their ideas and their visions and everything there, I feel like a lot of folks try to feel, because we live in an age of political correctness and everybody's offended and a victim in certain way, that some folks are afraid to be themselves and to express themselves. Now, I'm not saying that you should purposely go out and say something that is not an appropriate thing to do, but don't go and hide. You're still, you are a unique individual and being all of us are amazing and have special talents, and we all have a different story. And I feel that sometimes folks go into hiding because of the times that we're living in. So I would definitely say be authentic too. Don't try to be like someone else. Be true to yourself and be authentic. That is one of the biggest lessons that I've learned over the years. And from a career standpoint too, is this is not an easy ride, and some of your listeners, Thor, and as you know, as a journey of an entrepreneur is not full of rainbow and unicorns. It is definitely not. There is a lot of pain. There is a lot of self-doubt. There's a lot of second guessing. You really do need to know who you are and be true to yourself and be authentic to go and walk that road and not try to just be pulled in different directions. Again, back to focus on that goal of what you want to achieve as an entrepreneur. But it is a journey that I can't say enough about self-improvement. So speaking about big lessons, one of the things that I've shared with some of my listeners on my show too is that because of goals, and now that we're on the topic of it too, I always look at the next goal, and the first question that I ask myself is, who do I need to be and to become to achieve that goal? That's where I start with it. You know, it's kind of, the universe is amazing and life is amazing because I have failed obviously more times than I've had success. And a lot of times I have failed because I wasn't ready and I wasn't the person that I needed to be to achieve that goal or get that goal. And that was a huge mindset change for me in my life. I've had failed businesses, failed relationships, and so forth. And once I started turning it into, who do I need to become to attract the right person for a romantic relationship, that ideal person of my dream, because that is so true. You can't just go out there and point outwards, right, and try to find that right person. You need to change who you are to attract that person into your life, form that special relationship. And it's the same with business. And that's why I say, you know, having a wealth management company, an education company, and a podcast about building wealth, a lot of people usually ask me too, well, what is the best place to invest your money? The best place, without a doubt, with the best returns you will ever get in your life, is by investing in yourself and your own personal development. So that is definitely one of the biggest lessons that I've learned on this journey.
Yeah, I always say be, do, have. First, you have to start with who, you know, be that person. Be that person that can get these things done. Represent that, and then go out and do. And so often people think that it's, you know, I've got to start with the end, the have. You know, if I just go out and then I'll achieve and I'll become this person. No, you got to start by becoming that person.
Absolutely. And that's where the self-development, when you set your goals for any endeavor or any project that you're in, you need to figure out if you're the right person to get to that goal. And of course, I mean, building a team around you to achieve that as well is just as important. And that's another lesson that I've learned. You know, I've played sports throughout my life, played representative rugby. I've always loved being part of the team. And that's a completely different skill set too, of building a solid, cohesive team, all directed and focused on achieving that goal, getting the right culture in there, and also being a leader, because as an entrepreneur, you are the leader of where you want to go. And don't let it, you know, build a very powerful team, surround yourself with people with different skill sets and smarter people than you are, but remember always that you are the leader of that team.
Yeah, and fake it until you make it. You know, look, in the beginning, if you want to be a public speaker, you're not going to be a great public speaker. The way you become a great public speaker is speaking. And at first, you're not going to be good at it. And the only way to get good is to do it over and over and over again. So, you know, even if you don't have the courage to do something, just go out, do it, and it'll start to build. And then one day you'll look in the mirror and go, you know what? I actually am that person.
Absolutely. And I can share the story of my podcast with you. You know, I wanted to start a show and have a podcast and have free education available for anybody around the world to learn how to create income streams for themselves and empower themselves. Because again, you know, the financial services industry teaches us to just hand money over to people instead of taking care of it ourselves and taking ownership and responsibility of it. So back to the podcast though, if I listened to the first couple of shows I did, oh boy, was I bad.
Me too.
And the thing is, what people should realize is that's okay. I'm sure if somebody listened to maybe the first couple of episodes, and especially the self-hosted episodes that I did, thank goodness I had amazing guests on the first couple of shows that basically carried the show for me and made it really enjoyable. But even if you listen to my first couple of self-hosted shows, I mean, I cringe because I was horrible, but you're not going to be this top rock star podcaster right off the bat. That's going to take years and episodes to refine and your skill set and get better and learn new techniques. And I learned from people such as yourself just by being on the show with you too, of different things that I can do better. So it's a process, but I wanted to have that show. I wanted to host a show. So I became a podcaster because I wanted to be one, and eventually you start surely, but slowly grow into one. You're not going to be Walter Cronkite off the first go, as a presenter.
What's some of the worst advice you've ever received in business? Now, you didn't know it was bad advice at the time, but you did find out later.
Oh boy, yeah. There's some of the worst advice. It's interesting. You meet a lot of different people along the way, and I think that some of the worst advice and big mistakes that any person can make is just looking from a monetary perspective of trying to make money initially, and that's also a lesson that you learn because, Thor, I'll be honest with you, and a lot of young entrepreneurs listen to it too, and that is a big driver for them. Yes, they do self-development and all this stuff, but when they're younger, I want to be, I guess when I'm 38 years old. When I was younger, you looked at in the real estate arena that I was, and you're like, I want to be a Sam Zell or a Donald Trump or whatever, those entrepreneurs at that stage. What I think that I've learned too is play the long game. Don't settle, don't try and chase and just try to get the instant gratification or the quick buck or the easy money, as they would call it. Try and focus on, have a very long-term range and view, and build something that is sustainable, that's going to outlive you. Build something that I would throw in the bucket of legacy, something that you can pass on to your family eventually, and especially with wealth. And that's one of the most pleasing things for me, and what I do too is working with families and establishing legacy wealth for them. But I think back to your question, I think is that short-term vision. And I see that everywhere today because we have smartphones and social media, and we have stock tickers, and we have people, blowing horns and hammering, beating pots and pans like Jim Cramer and that kind of stuff. And that's the type of environment that we're in, that we've completely lost the vision of building something that's sustainable long-term, and even foregoing the quote-unquote quick buck and easy money, because in the end, money is just a representation of value. That's all it is. It's a representation of value and a medium of exchange. So if money flows into your life and cash flow flows into your life, it means that there's been an exchange. You have provided value for someone else, and they've provided value back to you. Now, there are other ways, of course. I'm not naive to not know that there are not good ways of coming into money. Of course there is. But from a positive mindset point of view, is if you look at it that way, I'd like to be that sustainable, and I'd like to be that long-term and throughout my life, and something that I can pass on this value creation and value flowing back into my and my family's life.
Wealth creation and keeping that wealth keeps many people up at night. What keeps you up at night?
Oh boy. I think that for me right now, to be honest with you too, is just family. So not because of any negative connotation, but my wife and I are expecting our first in May of this year. Our first
congratulations.
Child. Thank you. Yeah. So that's something you want, we all hope for, just a happy and a healthy baby, and that my wife would be healthy and everything would go well with the birth. So that's something that I think about. from a business perspective, the things that keep me up is, I want to stay relevant. I want to stay in an area where I keep providing value for others and be on top of it, because things are moving so quickly right now. Thor, as you know, this is one of the most amazing times ever to be alive, and we're connecting and we're interviewing each other through the internet. The show's being listened to people across the world on demand at their pace or what they're, at the time that they can conveniently listen to. It is amazing. And the technologies that are coming out every single day, you just can't keep up with it, from these, cryptocurrencies and blockchain technologies that's just going to revolutionize the world, health, discoveries in health, etc. So there are so many amazing things happening constantly. So I think because of these changes that are continuous and will go on every single day, I try to be relevant. I try to provide value and share the relevant information with my clients and with my audience too, and try from an educational perspective, keep on providing and updating education that's relevant, because just look at our school system. They're still stuck in the industrial age. And Alvin Toffler, the futurist, that said a very powerful quote, is that the illiterate of the future in the 21st century isn't people that will not be able to read or write, but it's people that won't be able to unlearn and relearn new skills and update their financial education. So it's extremely important to be relevant and provide value in the education that is going to be able to help people make a difference in their own lives by empowering them, creating income streams, and then also protecting that wealth and passing it on to future generations.
Thank you so much for listening today. I really do appreciate your time, and I hope you found today's show valuable. If you would like to receive these shows automatically to your phone or to your computer, simply go to iTunes and subscribe. After listening to several of the shows, if you're so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating, as this helps us reach additional people and spread the message. If you're truly committed to taking your life to the next level and doing whatever it takes to become a peak performer, but something's holding you back, something is blocking your way, and you just can't seem to figure out what it is, send me an email to info@thorconklin.com. And I'd be more than happy to get on the phone with you. We'll schedule a 15-minute discovery call. No obligation, no cost. I absolutely love to hear from the listeners. And if there's something I can do to help, I'd be more than happy to do that. Also, if you found something of great interest in today's show and you want to share that with your friends and family, simply go to my Facebook page, Thor Conklin. Click on the episode, hit the share button, and share it on your page. You can follow me at Twitter @ThorConklin. The website is thorconklin.com. We're constantly adding new free resources, discussing additional tricks, tips, tools, and strategies on how to be a peak performer. Remember, I try to keep these episodes short so you can listen to them during dot time, doing other things, commuting, driving, walking, working out. Decide to be a peak performer in all that you do. And until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day. That concludes part 2 of our interview with MC Laubscher. Please tune in later this week for the conclusion, part 3.